Every World of Warships player has asked themselves these questions at least once. Why does a shell from a battleship sometimes deal 1,000 damage and other times 10,000 damage? And why do I get so few credits for an intense and difficult battle?
Today, we're introducing a new series of videos, How It Works, dedicated to game mechanics of World of Warships. We'll try to answer the questions that worry our players, tell you about the way spotting and concealment works in the game, you'll learn how much HP the repair party consumable can restore, and how damage is dealt when you ram someone.
Understanding the game mechanics will help you make a bigger contribution to your team's victory. One of the most important efficiency characteristics of any player is the damage they deal in a battle. That's why we begin with the mechanics for damage infliction and the ship structure in our game.
Let's use the Japanese battleship Fuso as an example. Its top configuration has 57,100 HP. A warship is basically a small floating town with a very complex design. How can we model this complexity in the game and avoid turning it into an incredibly detailed and boring simulator at the same time?
Firstly, instead of several dozen compartments, we'll divide the ship into bow and aft ends, a citadel, superstructure, and casemate. And of course, we'll assign different values to different parts. The bow end of Fuso has 3,700 HP, the aft end 3,400, the casemate 8,500, and the superstructure 1,500.
Naval engineers tried to group all the crucial compartments of a warship, such as the engine room and ammunition magazines, in the center of the hull, and protect it with as much armor as possible. This part of the ship is called the citadel. Its value needs to be reflected in the game, because no ship can continue to fight if its citadel is destroyed. For this reason, we decided to put all the ship's HP in it, all 57,100 of them.
And now the main thing. We'll introduce a special virtual part and call it, let's say, the entire hull. Fuso has 42,800 points in it, so if you sum up all of Fuso's parts, you get 117,000 points, and the HP indicator shows 57,100 points.
This means that you need to deal 57,100 damage to it, and it doesn't matter which part of the ship these points are deducted from. The difference between the parts lies only in the speed with which you deal damage to it.
This concept is not an easy one, and, at first glance, looks odd. Let's try to figure out how it works in a specific example.
Imagine that a shell flies at our test Fuso, which deals exactly 3,000 points of damage. It will inflict this damage only if it hits the citadel. When hitting any other less important part of the ship, it will deal only 1/6 of its damage. For example, if it strikes the forward end, the total hit points of the Japanese ship will decrease by only 1,000 points.
But 1 in 6 of 3,000 points of damage is 500. Why does the HP decrease by 1,000? The thing is that when the shell hits the forward end, it deducts 500 points from this part of the ship and another 500 points from the entire hull part. However, the most interesting thing begins after the bow of our Fuso gets hit by 8 shells, and the forward end, which, as we remember, has only 3,700 HP, gets destroyed and stops receiving more damage.
Now the damage will only be dealt to the entire hull, and each hit will inflict only 500 points instead of 1,000. By the way, the game has a hint for you to stop wasting shells on a destroyed part of the ship. It turns black.
However, by firing at the destroyed bow, you can destroy the entire hull. As a result, you'll decrease the HP pool of the battleship by 46,500 points. If you continue to fire at the bow after that, you won't be able to inflict any more damage. The forward end and the entire hull have no HP left. However, the aft end, casemate, superstructure, and citadel are intact, and Fuso will keep on fighting.
Now, let's imagine that a shell hits the battleship's citadel. It won't do any harm to the entire hull, but it will deal 3,000 damage to the citadel itself without any reductions. Of course, the question of where to fire mainly depends on the specific conditions in a battle. But regardless of which part of Fuso you target, you'll need to deal exactly 57,100 damage to sink it.
However, we have only just begun talking about the mechanics for inflicting damage in World of Warships. Watch the next episode to learn all about over-penetrations and damaged modules.
If you find this video useful, share it with your friends, leave your comments, don't forget to like it, and of course, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Until next time.